Okay, so what I'm going to cover in this video will be relevant to you no matter what's happened this month. Perhaps you have had a rocky, dry January and you ended up ditching your commitment to being alcohol-free. Or maybe you stuck to your goal and you're thinking about what to do next, or you're just desperate to have a drink on February the 1st. No matter what went on, there are really just two key things that I suggest you do before January slips away from us and we're into February. So, the first thing is to get curious about the tough times this past month. Maybe something happened and you ended up drinking and scrapping your plans for a dry January. Or perhaps you came really close to doing that. I know it's been a tough month. It's not every January that we have a global pandemic on our hands, or lockdowns to contend with, or riots in Washington, or gosh, just so much different stuff going on in the world. If you struggled this month, I want to invite you to really explore what happened with true curiosity. So that means not making the mistake of deciding it was just the wrong time to be trying not to drink. Because actually, the events and circumstances I just mentioned, they aren't the real reason why you struggled or why you drank, I promise. The problem wasn't that the news was stressing you out, or homeschooling's a nightmare, or you had a bad day. No. Those were just things, just events happening around you. And the trick is to actually look inward instead and work out how you were feeling before you drank. So, were you just overwhelmed or bored, scared, anxious, craving comfort? Focus on how you were feeling, not what was happening. The mistake a lot of people make is saying something like, well, it's just lockdown that was the problem. When I'm not dealing with that anymore and we're not homeschooling and life is a bit easier, then I'll definitely be able to quit drinking. But I know you're watching this for a reason, because you're smart and you know that it's not your circumstances that are the problem. It's the feelings those circumstances generate within you and how you deal with those feelings. Do you see the difference there? So this pandemic might be making you feel stressed out or overwhelmed or bored, but truthfully, there are always going to be things in your life that make you feel that way. And if you can only make alcohol-free living work when life is going really smoothly, everyone around you is on their best behaviour, and the news is reporting that everything's going great in the world, well, you don't need me to tell you that it's going to be a struggle to change. The message I want you to really get today is it's never about the events and circumstances, it's always about your feelings. And once you start getting clearer on the feelings that you struggle with and the feelings that trigger you to drink, well, then you can start asking way more useful questions, such as, okay, I wonder what it was I really needed in that moment. Or, I wonder how I would look after one of my kids if they were struggling with that same difficult feeling. Because you probably wouldn't give them alcohol, would you? Another good question to ask would be, I wonder what might have happened if I'd sat with that uncomfortable, horrible feeling and let it be there and let it pass. How hard would that have been compared to drinking and dealing with all the fallout and the horrible stuff from that? So, do you see, just by exploring this from a place of curiosity, not judgment, and looking at the feeling rather than the circumstances, we can access much more useful information. We can get to the detail of what's going on and really get to that place to help you have a breakthrough. So that was the first thing to do. Look at the tough times this month and get really curious about them and understand them better. The second thing I recommend everyone does is to write a short review of the month. Now, you could do this in a journal or just quickly on your phone somewhere, but write down what happened this month with your drinking and your alcohol-free goals. Note down what happened and how you're feeling physically and mentally. You just want to record the facts here, so there's no need to judge yourself or beat yourself up in the process. You just want to get it recorded in some way, because otherwise you will forget this stuff. Once you've done that, I also invite you to write down 3 things that went well this month. It's especially important to do this if you did drink in January, because you still have things to be proud of. Your self-worth as a human isn't tied to whether you managed to complete dry January or not. So once you've done all of that, the next thing you want to do is make a decision about what you're going to do in February and write down why. You want to move forward with intention. If you've had a dry January, but you promised yourself that you would go back to drinking on the 1st of February and you still want to do that, fine, write that down. If you want to continue your break into next month, great, commit to that. And if you aren't even trying to be sober right now and you're not going to try next month either, write that down as well. Then here's the really, really important thing. I want you to set a reminder on your phone for a month from today so you can come back, revisit what you've written now, and then repeat the same exercise with another month of experiences under your belt. That is going to be so useful to do. So don't forget to set that reminder on your phone. Often the biggest breakthroughs happen when you come back to revisit this stuff. Like, we are brilliant at forgetting how we feel and exactly what happened. So if you've stuck with your dry January plans, well done. You deserve to have a record of that, no matter what you do next. And then you can compare how you're feeling in a month's time. Because I can guarantee that if you do continue with your alcohol-free break a bit longer, you will see continued improvements in how you feel. Things will get easier, but you might miss that or gloss over it if you haven't got a record of the past. Likewise, if you've done dry January, but you are going to go back to drinking, it'll be really important to see how you're feeling at the end of next month. Having that data to compare will be so helpful for you in your long-term decisions. And look, if you crashed out of dry January and you're still feeling really bad about it, then I do want you to know this. I did the exact same thing in 2013. I think I did dry January for a week before giving up. And then guess what happened? I carried on drinking in February as well. I think I drank quite a lot then. And I drank in March too. But I was journaling about it. I was writing it down. And by April of that year, I was looking at what I'd written and realising that it wasn't good enough. And I decided I did want to choose better for myself. So on April the 6th, 2013, I decided to try again. And look what happened. I've never gone back. But I'm not sure I would have made that decision had I not seen all those different months written down in black and white and just really acknowledged what was going on. So I'm Kate B. Scroll down and let me know what your dry January was like, what you've learned from it. I would love to hear all about it, and I look forward to seeing you next week.